Hello everyone, welcome back to another 3 car project tutorial videos. In today's video, we're gonna be creating another simple assembly, right? This one only has 3 components. So it's pretty straightforward, which is the sensor assembly. It includes the Pololu QTR-AA sensor. We also have a quantity 1, which is an analog IR line sensor array. All 3 are vendor parts. So it's nothing that we have actually created, but we have the parts ready. Again, the vendor parts folder should be on the M drive. So if you have not copied that to your work area, make sure you do so. What I want to do now, right? So it consists of the assembly, the Pololu QTR-AA sensor, the quantity 1. Also consists of 256 hex standoffs right here. Quantity 2 also consists of the 256 panhead Phillips machine screw right here, which is the balloon 3. Again, we'll get to create these drawings later on. So one thing to point out is I want to make sure my file name is called sensor assembly. My description is the Pololu QTR-AA. I have standoffs and 256 screws. So let's jump into SolidWorks. So have SolidWorks open, just like we've done in the last video when we created the front wheel assembly. We're going to start with File, New. Again, I want to start with an assembly. It's going to ask me to import a part. What I want to do here is if I go to my car project, I have my vendor parts folder. So I'm going to click that. So let's see, what do I have here? I believe it's under the drivetrain and electrical. And it's right here. So I have my Pololu QTR-8A sensor. So I'm going to click on that. Configurations, right? It has only one configuration. So I'm just going to click Open. Same thing as last time. So I can go to Edit, View, Hide, Show, Origin, and snap to it, right? Like I've showed you in the last video. But I also explained that if I just click check, automatically mates it to the origin. So I'm going to keep it simple. Have that mated, right? So it's fixed. At any time I can right click on it and click float, and that makes it float. But make sure what that does, it floats it, and I believe it unmates it from the origin. So make sure it's you made it back to the origin, or make sure you just keep it at the fixed option. So I have my first part inserted, right? Pretty straightforward. What I need next is I have 2 standoffs and 256 screws. So how would you go about doing this, right? Again, we've talked about design intent and looking at what's the most efficient way to do things. So if I look at this, right, I know that these 2 are the same. So I know that I can literally just import these 2 parts and mate everything together, right? So these 2 parts made it with the sensor, and I can probably most likely mirror with respect to whatever midplane I have here. And what that does, it actually mirrors the parts and mirrors all the mates with it. So everything will be fully defined if I fully define just one side. Again, talking about keeping things simple and thinking about design intent and all of that. So let's go ahead and do that, right? Let's mate one side and mirror that with respect to the midplane. So I'm going to insert component. I believe the vendor part is under nuts and hardware. And it's a 256 by 5/8 standoff, right? And you can double check the part number, which is the 191,780. 191,780 A111. So I'm gonna click open, and I'm gonna insert this, just place it anywhere, right? Again, we talked about we're gonna rotate things and mate them together, so we don't really care about this position. The first one, we just like to keep it close, right? You don't want to place it somewhere here, and then when you're working here, you can't find it. So I just like to place, let's see, keep components close with respect to the second component that we're trying to mate to. Maybe I want to rotate it here on the axis. Again, it's pretty straightforward mate, right? So what mate would you choose here? It's most likely going to be a concentric mate. So I want this circular feature with maybe this circular edge, right? And there's a tiny bit of a gap. And I have my concentric mate. So I'm going to click OK. Now I can move this up and down. I also can rotate it. So just like you guessed it, we're missing two other mates to fully define this, right? So let's go ahead and define the first one. So I want to add a mate between that face and this face, right? And it's going to be coincident. I want them to be coincident. I don't want there to be a distance, right? I want those two faces to be coincident to each other. If you wanted to add a gap, let's say, because you want to add a washer later on, you can add a distance mate. But in this case, I know that I want to keep that coincident mate. So I'm just going to choose the coincident mate from the standard mates. I'm going to click OK. So I know I can rotate this. So what's the best way to go about this, right? I'm going to mate these two faces. And SOLIDWORKS automatically switches to parallel. And the reason is, right, if I look at it this way, there is a tiny bit of a gap between the two, right? Tiny bit. So, right, looking at it from this way, these two faces are not coincident to each other, so SOLIDWORKS can't add a coincident mate. If I try to add a coincident mate, it's not gonna like it. Okay, right? This selected mate could not be successfully created. What would you like? I'm gonna hit cancel. Again, I'm just gonna go back, and again, SOLIDWORKS automatically switch to parallel, and that's the mate we are looking for. I'm gonna click OK, and I have that second part fully defined. Perfect. So one more thing to do, right? I'm gonna insert a component. In this case, I'm gonna go back to my vendor part. It's gonna be a screw, and it's gonna be a 256 by 3/8 pan head Phillips machine screw. So right here, it's a 256 3/8 long screw. I know that the part number is the 9027 2A079. So that's exactly the screw I'm looking for. Again, it only has one configuration. And I'm going to place it somewhere midair, close to my other two parts. And let's rotate that. Right, if I hold down the right and right click on the mouse, I can rotate that. So let's add a mate. Right, I want to, let's say, maybe add the nice thing about adding a concentric mate is it doesn't matter what circle you choose, right? As long as everything is with respect to the origin. So if I select this one and this one, right, it's still gives me exactly what I'm looking for. In this case, it's a concentric mate. I'm gonna click OK. right? So now I can move this up and down to fully define that. I'm just gonna select that bottom face with the top face of the sensor. I'm gonna click OK. One thing here is this rotates. So how would you fix that? I'm thinking we can add a mate here. I can add this face, select this face, maybe select that face. Oh, that's not, hey, that's curved, isn't it? Yep, that's curved. So let's see what else we can do. If I go to my screw, let's add a mate between my top plane and this face, and let's add a parallel mate, right? Automatically selects it because these two are now on the same plane, right? They have to be on the same plane for it to be coincident. And since it's off, it's gonna set these two to parallel, which is exactly what we're looking for. In this case, click OK. And my screw is fully defined. So I have everything fully defined. What I want to do now is I'm going to select these two. And I want to mirror, let's see, where's my, so I have one of my mirror components. So under learning component pattern, I want to go to mirror components. And I'm going to mirror on the right plane. Perfect. So I have a mirror component 1. And it shows that these are fully defined, right? I can't move them because they're related. Again, just like we've done mirrored stuff in the past, everything is fully defined. And we're basically done with our assembly. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go to File Properties, go to Summary, switch from my name down, and for custom, again, I'm going to go to Description, and let's put in the Honolulu QTR-8A, and I have standoffs and 256 screws. Click OK. What I want to do now is generate an exploded view. So again, just like we've done in the past, I'm going to go to exploded view. I'm going to click exploded view. I want to select this. I'm actually going to do them at the same time, right? So I'm going to hold down the control key and select that. I want to move these up. That's my first explode step, these two parts. And for the second step, I'm going to move these two down. Again, select the first one, hold the control key down. Let's move these down. Click OK. What I want to do also is add explode line sketch. So I'm going to go here, select that edge, circular edge. I want to go here. Let's flip that direction so it's going straight. And click OK. Do the same thing here. And I want it to go down, so I'm going to flip the direction, right? And I'm going to select that circular edge. Click OK. And I have my exploded view and explode line sketch all done. So if I go to my configuration, I can go to explode view 1, I can collapse. Let's do animate explode, right? The two screws go up, stand-ups go down. Again, you can save that animation. Just gonna hit collapse and go File, Save As. And wherever you have your car assemblies, you go ahead and save that there. So I have car assemblies, and I'm gonna save in the sensor assembly. I call that sensor assembly. And again, the description is already populated. Click save. And we are all set with our second assembly. Thank you for watching.